Pancreatic cancer is actually a malignant tumor which is located in the organ pancreas. And the pancreas is an organ that is important for digestive functions, but also the production of insulin, which is important to control our blood sugar. So it has very important functions. And unfortunately, it is located in the human body a little bit hidden behind other organs.
Yeah. Pancreatic cancer is basically a carcinoma of the pancreas, which is the gland in the middle, in the center of the body, producing both insulin, which is obviously regulating the blood sugar in the body, and then producing the enzymes which are needed to digest the food we are eating. Obviously, you know about the stomach, which is contributing with the gastric acid, which is step number one, after chewing, obviously. And then the second most important step really for the digestion is the pancreatic enzymes, which are secreted by the pancreatic gland, which then break down the food into the three constituents, which is the carbohydrates, proteins, and fatty acids. So the pancreatic cancer then is a carcinoma, an adenocarcinoma coming from the exocrine part, that is the part producing the enzymes, and there from the lining of the ducts in this gland, which is then producing this very aggressive tumor. The situation in this part of the body is also explanation why it is such a deadly tumor. It is situated, as I said, in the middle of the body, and that means it's not really accessible easily to any kind of physical examination, as you would see for, say, melanoma and on the skin, or for breast cancer by doing a physical examination of the female breast, or even the prostate, where you can basically do a rectal exam. So it's really hiding in the body, which makes it so difficult to look at.
So pancreatic cancer, why is it so aggressive? Because it spreads. It doesn't stay in this organ. It grows, it gets bigger, and then even worse, the cells move to other organs, and particularly into the liver. And then they go into the liver, and then they grow in the liver, and then they destroy also the liver function. So these two things, that it grows in a hidden organ, but then that it also spreads to other organ and throughout the body, that really what makes it so aggressive. And it seems to spread already very early when the tumor is small. So we really have to detect it very, very early. That is really the big challenge of the whole field.
Yeah, it's about 100 in 100,000, which is not very high. That is, in all of the civilized countries, the incidence is number 7 or 8 of the solid tumors in males and females. But when it comes to cancer-related deaths, then it is by now the number 3. Only, number 1 is lung cancer, number 2 is colorectal cancer, and it is projected to become the number 2 in the year 2030. That is to say, there is a slight increase in the incidence, but virtually one can say the 5-year survival rate is about 5% these days. One can say virtually everybody who receives the diagnosis will die within a 5 to 10 year period, which really makes us one of the most dire solid tumors of man. And what is even more worrisome, I should say, we see that the people who get pancreatic cancer are getting more female and younger. In the old days, it was a disease of elder men smoking, and that is no longer the case.
Yeah, currently the survival rate is very, very poor. You have an average survival rate of 9 months after diagnosis. So I think that most patients, or many patients, do not even live 1 year after diagnosis. And this is, of course, terrible. I think we have, interestingly, around 5% of patients that can live several years, even up to 5 years. And this is also an interesting area of investigation. Why? What is different with this 5% of patients? Do they have, let's say, a super immune system, or what is special? Can we learn something from these 5% that could help us to treat this aggressive cancer better? Yeah, there are risk factors such as late onset diabetes. There are genetic constellations when some families are involved. So if you had already family members that got pancreatic cancer, particularly at an early age, you probably need to have a testing. And then there are also some lesions in the pancreatic cancer, some small cysts, And these lesions, we sometimes can say, yeah, it looks probably not like cancer. So we monitor it over time, and then they may grow. And then there comes a decision where we have to say, now we have to do surgery. But this surgery is not just a minor surgery, it's quite some surgery. And many times we can see that it was not necessary because it was not cancer at that time, okay? So and other times we come too late because then we have waited for too long and it's already a big cancer. So really, in order to be more precise what to do with these patients that have a higher risk is very, very important. Because only a few of those patients that have a higher risk get really the cancer, but all of them are, of course, are afraid to get it. And if we could help these people who are afraid to get it to calm down and say, no, we don't detect anything, you are safe, and you can come back in a year or so, and then we test again, then that would be, of course, very, very good also to those people who do not have cancer, just to make sure that they can sleep better.
In the best of all worlds, really, at the end of the project, we will have an idea what would be the best liquid biopsy, the best biomarker or set of biomarkers to diagnose pancreatic cancer early. And the best not only means what we call sensitivity and specificity for a certain biomarker or for diagnostic test, it would also be a very robust test. And that means that it must be easy to measure what we then identify as being a good test in blood. And it should then obviously pick up the conversion, for instance, of one of those preneoplastic lesions in patients, in people to a malignant tumor, to really catch it early. Why are we so much focusing on the early diagnosis? What you can do in those patients, and they have the highest possibility to really get a successful therapy, so that you then can pre-treat them, do surgery, do adjuvant chemotherapy, and then have a chance really to get rid of the cancer entirely.
Exactly, and I think the, let's say, the will to participate in such programs, and to know that you are at risk, The will is, of course, increasing if we also have a tool that can guarantee you that we can help you, right? Right now, I mean, the problem is that we can monitor you, we can help some patients, but for many patients we still come too late, or we do surgery too early, right? So if we can increase our precision, then it will also, I think, increase the acceptance to participate in these early detection and monitoring procedures. I'm sure that we will also learn something from the signatures that we find in the blood, either the signatures derived from the tumor or from the host, from the patient. We will learn also something about how this tumor is actually growing and developing and metastasizing. So maybe we will also learn something about how to target this tumor. We have targeted drugs these days in oncology. So if we know the targets better and we know how to stop the growth or kill the cells better, this could be also an outcome out of our analysis, because we really look what is going on in these early stages of pancreatic cancer. And if we understand what's going on, we may also learn how to stop it.
This is our hope and our expectations. Now, steering such huge consortia as we are doing it right now is obviously not easy. And due to the aftermath of the pandemic, and as we found out, lots of administrative kind of requirements due to the laws which you have in Europe, this is not so easy to kind of get going. In the end, the science will be rather easy, because we start out with methods we have already shown to be reliable. So this is not starting from scratch with something which has only worked in the lab. We are building on a very solid series of different diagnostic tests. And again, I'm very optimistic that at the end of the project, we will have a more concrete test, which we then can carry on in prospective clinical trials, which will be the ultimate test for any test.
Absolutely. I think that we are convinced that if we are able to detect this tumor early, much earlier than today, and we can only do better, because today only 5% of the patients are detected early, very early, right? Or 10%, depending on what you call early. So if we can double this rate or triple this rate with Pancate, we will already make a big impact on the life of the patients.